I hope you have all had a happy new year. Now is the time when you can pick up those issues of the newspaper or some special edition of a magazine that reads the top 100 technological insights of 2024. I always like to go through these new inventions just to see what are the spectacular things going to happen in the near future. Some of the highlights, for example, that I have read so far are adaptive AI, digital immune system, AI trust, risk and security management, that is AI TRISM, super app development, industrial metaverse, and there are many others. Scientists today have learned how to make people walk again through gene therapy. They help the blind to see through retina technology. They transplant hearts and restore limbs. We find new discoveries every day. This may surprise you, but it wasn't any different in Jesus' day. It's just that the discoveries were different. Medicine and mathematics were flourishing in Egypt. Writing tools and documents were becoming more user-friendly, and the culture was moving from scrolls to codex. Navigational equipment was being developed. Philosophical theories abounded, and the combined disciplines of religion, sciences, medicine, philosophy, math, and prophecy were developing at a rate never before seen. The Magi, a tribe of Eastern priests, were the scientists of the ancient world. The Magi were to the East what the Levites were to the Jews. According to the latest research, the Magi tended not to subscribe to a specific religion, but rather to be a kind of professional class of priests who were highly learned, skilled in interpretation of dreams, and relied upon for their knowledge and wisdom of every tradition. They served as chief advisors in kingdoms to the kings and consultants to their staff. Part professor, part priest, part special advisor, they were highly respected and known for their accuracy in predicting what kings would arise within what nations and who would rule the ancient world. Several of them were convinced that the Jewish prophecy of the birth of the Messiah had come to pass, and they pointed to a series of cosmic events that led them to Jerusalem to inquire of the matter with the Jewish king. Little did they know, this Jewish king was no friend of a young competitor for the throne of Judea, Herod the king. In Jesus' time, the greatest threat to both adult and child in the entire realm was the mercurial Herod the Great, Roman-appointed king of Judea. Although Herod raised the prosperity of the Roman Empire through building projects such as aqueducts, theaters, fortresses, and public buildings, and was a practicing Jew, he was also known to be tyrannical, paranoid, competitive, jealous, bloodthirsty ruler who had members of his own family killed, fearing their disloyalty. Herod feared and persecuted anyone who had the audacity and folly to challenge his rule. So when Herod got wind that the old prophecies about the birth of the Messiah king who would rule Judea were coming to fruition, he was ready to squash the budding opponent. Herod and the Magi. It was therefore a very big thing when Herod saw the entourage coming into Jerusalem. No doubt they came as a huge train of Magi priests on camels and horseback, protected by legions of soldiers and surrounded by servants and minions. It is clear that Herod respects these Magi as learned figures, for he asks them about the future and their predictions. And it is no small matter to Herod that they are expecting to find a king. Herod was known to squash uprisings with a particularly brutal haste. So when he heard that a child was being born of the two parents in the line of David, and whom all the known world was curiously celebrating, Herod felt his throne threatened. So the king mastered a plot to kill the child. His first attempt was in vain. He had secretly asked the Magi to return to let him know where they had located the child, so that he, Herod, could also visit and honor him. But the Magi, being of course Magi, was smarter than this and saw through Herod's plot immediately. After they had visited the child, they departed by another route, never returning to Jerusalem. After a period of time, Herod realized they were not going to assist him in locating the child. So Herod made one of the most horrific and bloody decisions in the history of Jewish culture. He decreed that all children ages 2 and under should be slaughtered in their homes. Only this way could Herod ensure that he had eliminated his threat. Now the Magi understood quickly the kind of person Herod was and what kind of motives and reputation he had. And so they not only did not return to Jerusalem, but they advised Jesus' family to flee quickly to Egypt and to live there until Herod's reign had ended. The family did what they were told, immediately packed up and moved to Egypt, most likely to the region of cosmopolitan city of Alexandria, where a large Jewish population had taken root. There they stayed until Herod the Great had died. There was this invisible threat. For people like Herod, people addicted to power, control, money, status, and prestige, their addiction can breed paranoia, jealousy, envy, and revenge. Anything and anyone can easily become a threat, and when an invisible threat emerges, deep and disarming fear can set in, causing them to become volatile, unstable, and very dangerous. For Herod, Jesus was that invisible threat. He became obsessed with the question, where was the child? For Herod, this is frightening and alarming news. Herod wants to find out as much as he can about the newborn king child who is slated to rule Israel among the nations. It is a story of intrigue, murderous intent, mystery, and abnormality for sure. But it's a story that proclaims in no uncertain terms that the birth of Jesus is not just a Jewish phenomenon, but an event of magnitude for the entire ancient world, one that was expected to change the face of the nations. The birth of Jesus, the King. The visit of the Magi was an enormously important prediction by the world's greatest minds of the time, and they honored their certainty with appropriate gifts for the young king. How shocked Mary and Joseph must have been to see this grand entourage of men and horses descending upon their homes that day, to see their young child, now a bit older, and living in their home. How welcome their gifts must have been. How honored his parents must have felt. Later, surely this time would come back to mind as Mary and Joseph sought their son in the temple, as their son gained prominence in the Jewish community, as his ideas began drawing huge crowds of people, as he would appear post-resurrection to disciples and friends. As new faith formed in the wake of his return, changing the entire world and uniting the nations, Jews and Gentiles. It doesn't matter that Jesus was born thousands of years ago. It doesn't matter that the predictions of the Magi were fulfilled in a year 1 CE or 3 BCE. For the event of Jesus' birth was only the beginning, only the inauguration of the change Jesus is still effecting in the world today. His life and his presence in the here and now still brings extraordinary love and hope and joy and peace into the lives of ordinary people. Jesus is still changing the world. Jesus is still saving the world. Remember in the scriptures, when Jesus comes to heal and exorcise demons, they recognize him immediately and start to tremble. Never underestimate the power of love, kindness, salvation, and mercy. Evil and sin fear the presence of Jesus. For Jesus towers over evil, topples sins, defeats the forces of darkness, and chases away those who would live in shadows. Scientists today may learn how to make people walk again through the gene therapy. They may help the blind to see through retina technology. They may transplant hearts and restore limbs. But no one has ever been able to change the world the way Jesus the Messiah has done and continues to do every single day through his miracles, through his teachings, through his love, through his gift of hope and grace. The greatest discovery of 2024? It still is Jesus. Pass the word around. May Jesus Christ be praised.